Stone Ocean is a part with many mixed opinions by the community, second only to Vento Arreo, but one thing I hope we can all agree upon is that Enrico Pucci is pretty damn cool. Right off the bat, I found his design and poses to be some of the best in the series, but luckily the positives about the character weren't just superficial. I absolutely loved his first fight against the crew, and that's what we're covering today. There's a slight problem though, as the fight is an absolute pain to follow, so for reference, these are the chapters I'll be covering. FF Witness Part 2, Awaken Part 1, Whitesnake Pursuer Parts 2 to 5, Time for Heaven, and finally the New Moon, the Priest Reborn. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's begin. Try and keep up. In the first chapter, some significant progress is made in the story, as Foo Fighters ends up realising that Pucci is a stand user of Whitesnake. His reveal is pretty intimidating as we see that slow stride towards the ambulance that FF is in. It's interesting to see that throughout this chapter, as he gets ever closer to completing his goal, he keeps reciting the prime numbers to calm himself down. While probably not intentional, his walk towards one of the protagonists reminds me of Dio walking towards the wreckage of the Senator's car in Stardust Crusaders. There's an interesting contrast between the two in seeing Dio's oozing confidence and charisma compared to Pucci's uncertainty. His nervousness doesn't make him any less intimidating though, as it just allows us to see a human side to him. It honestly just adds to his threat as a villain, as we can see how determined he is, coming ever closer to his enemy. It's pretty interesting to have the main villain against a side protagonist like FF, and I was presumably sharing the same sentiment as others. How is Foo Fighters going to escape? Characters die pretty frequently in JoJo, but it's very rare for one of the main cast to die before the ending of the part. In fact, as far as I can remember, Foo Fighters' death is the first to happen this early on, and it completely took me by surprise. As FF is a stand and not an actual human being, there was many ways for it to try and get away from its opponent, which made for some pretty insane twists throughout. From the boiling water coming out of the faucet to the surprise weather report assistant making it rain, I was jumping out of my seat cheering on Foo Fighters, as it was amazing to see how far it was able to go to get to the Allies. Because of all these twists, I genuinely thought FF was going to survive, which made its death all the more devastating when it finally arrived. Looking back on its life though, I was satisfied with how the character turned out. Foo Fighters had the most dramatic turnaround in its life when it joined the Allies, going from a mindless stand to one with real emotion, and it got some great memories through the journey it had been on, no matter how short it was. FF died with no regrets, and I was happy with the overall conclusion with its sacrifice to save Anusue's life. To talk about why his life needed saving in the first place, holy fuck. By the time Pucci meets with Jolyne, two of the main cast are seemingly dead or dying. The stakes could not have been any higher, and seeing the illusion ability of Whitesnake coming into play again was a nice reminder of the stand's versatility. The fight Jolyne had was very up close and physical, and was a welcome change to go back to basics for a little while, as very little of either stand's abilities were used. Jolyne managing to hit Pucci through instinct despite being blinded is kind of an asshole, but I don't really mind because it helps to show the kind of growth she's had since arriving at the prison. She's a Joestar through and through, and not one to be taken lightly.